I'm Suzy Landolfi, and welcome to Be Crazy Well. I don't know why we're yelling. I guess maybe I do. I think we yell because we're trying to control the situation or the person. I think we yell because we were yelled at. I think we yell because we think it's powerful and it makes us more powerful. I think we yell to intimidate. I think we yell because we're scared. I think we yell because we're sad. And I think we yell so much that we hurt ourselves. We hurt every relationship and we hurt ourselves. We hurt our brain. We hurt our body, our central nervous system, our health. Takes away so much joy. And I have to tell you, I was a yeller. I wasn't as a kid. I didn't yell as a kid. I was yelled at. I didn't yell. I was so intimidated by the yelling that went on in my family, my father's side of the family, that I was just yelled quiet. That's right. I was afraid. I was constantly afraid. I didn't want to get yelled at. And I literally just shut down. So here I am, this little kid, not yelling at anybody, not having a voice. The only time I really had a voice was when I was doing something at school. If I was doing something at school, then I had a voice. I was at the board. I was solving a math problem. I was in cheerleading practice. Oh, yeah, we did yell there, but not in anger. And I realized that I didn't start yelling until probably my mid-20s. So I went all that time without yelling. And then when I started to get in relationships, I started yelling. I think because the most important relationships for me, to me, about me, were traumatizing relationships in my family. My sister yelled. My brother didn't yell a lot, a little bit. My sister yelled a lot. She was so traumatized, 18 months older than I was or am. And she yelled all the time, yelled at my mom, yelled at me. She was just filled with fear and sadness, and she yelled. And what usually goes along with yelling is name calling. Now, I did name call. That is true. I did do that. So when my sister started to beat me up, and we were 18 months apart, like I said, she was about 6 inches taller and 100 pounds heavier. The only way I could get back at her was to call her names. So she'd have me on the floor, beating the shit out of me. And I would take it and just look right up at her and call her any name I could think of. So name calling, yelling, they go together. So why didn't I yell as a kid? Why did I wait so long to yell as an adult? And then once I started, I didn't stop. And like I said, I think I didn't yell as a kid because I was so afraid. I was panicked. I was frozen in fear. And then when I found my voice and I started to quote unquote fight back, man, did I find my voice. Loud, hurtful, name calling voice. Lovers, boyfriends, friends, just, people that did me wrong in the parking lot, like whatever it was. And then I became a mother and I yelled. Not proud of it. And I was so overwhelmed most of the time, overtired, keeping my feelings inside that when I did let them out, man, they came out like a tsunami, like a hurricane, like a nor'easter. which I'm so used to having grown up north of Boston. So I was talking to a veteran today. She's been suicidal for a while. She also was horribly traumatized as a kid. And she was a great combat veteran and great. And I think she was she was a ranger, force ranger, I think in the police department as well. She's done a lot of service, let's just put it that way. And man, can she yell. Now, I get that you want to yell when there's fire or a threat. Man, you better have a voice then. Don't be talking soft, unless, of course, you're hiding when there's a threat. I get that. So she was great at that. She doesn't do that anymore. She's now 60. And yet her suicidal ideation is off the charts to the point where she came very close to killing herself the other day. And the yelling, the threats, the blame, the shame, all the things that was done to her has come up stronger than ever. It's like it gets worse with age. It's like we can't hear ourselves unless we're yelling. It's like we're yelling for help, but we're actually most of the time being abusive. We're yelling because we are out of control and we're trying to control others and the situation. So I said to her today, she was asking me about what I did and how do I handle people who are suicidal. I go, well, first of all, we go back and find out what happened to you, because that's important to understand. If you are not honored, if you're not cared for, if you were abused physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and sexually, trust me, that childhood trauma can come back and eat away at your self-worth. And then what happens is you start to act out. So all of that trauma comes back and you start to act out towards others. And then, of course, you feel terrible about yourself. And then that shame and blame and guilt and regret all comes back. And it doesn't even come back. It comes back and you add to it. Let's put it that way. So I said to her today, when you start to feel these feelings of rage, of sadness, of fear, of wanting to hurt yourself or others, I said the one thing we can all do is we can stop yelling. And if we are going to yell, we should be yelling for help, not yelling at, not threatening. She goes, how's that going to help? And I said, well, it seems to me if you're suicidal and you said that you believe that you're not worthwhile and you're not a badass anymore and you don't have a purpose or value, it seems to me when you act in a way that you're ashamed of, you're adding to those beliefs that you are not valuable, you're not valued. Not only that, you're just an asshole. You don't deserve to live. You're abusive, you're hurting people. I mean, it's just this cyclical thing that happens. She also had an operation recently, and I said, you know, when you yell, you literally cause inflammation and you literally hurt yourself when you're trying to heal. You get all kinds of immunosuppressant issues going on in your body when you yell. Like you literally are hurting your ability to stay healthy. You're literally causing inflammation. You're literally hurting your brain. And I know all this because I looked into it because I was a yeller and a name caller. I was working with another couple and I said the same thing to them. You got to stop yelling. It sounds too easy. People probably look at me and go, well, you're a therapist. You're not supposed to just tell me to do something. Go, yeah, I am. Yes, I am. And for the last month, they haven't yelled at each other. They haven't done anything differently. They have the same money situation, same kids, same marriage. And yet they told me today that just stopping the yelling made everything so much better. Not only that, their children aren't yelling. I can't always promise you such dramatic results just when you stop yelling. But I can tell you a lot can get better when you stop yelling. I don't even know if I could yell. I was saying that to my veteran friend today. I said, I don't even know if I could yell anymore. It's been so long since I have felt the need, thought the need, or did the need to yell. I'm proud of that. I'm happy about that. It's changed me a lot. My health is terrific. And I truly believe that because I stopped yelling and stopped name calling, that my entire body got better. That stress response system, that adrenaline and cortisol and inflammation and my immune system being suppressed, all of that can be helped by not yelling. Did you ever ask yourself why you're yelling? That's always a good idea too. People say to me all the time, I go, why'd you yell at your kids? I go, because they don't listen to me. And of course, being the wise ass that I am, I say, oh, I didn't know that your children had a hearing impairment. And they go, no, they don't. And I go, then why are you yelling? If they can hear you, why are you yelling? Because they don't listen. Oh, no. They're listening. They're not doing what you want them to do. They're not acknowledging your yelling because they've had to tune it out. Because once they hear you yell, they know that you're out of control. They know it. And they probably will do what I did, which was shut down. They might yell back. If they don't, they'll just get a shot of adrenaline and some cortisol. And if you keep yelling, they'll keep getting shots of adrenaline. And then you'll bring them to a therapist and they'll diagnose them with ADD or ADHD because they're completely flooded with adrenaline. Do you ever stop to think about that? Adderall, adrenaline, ADD. Yeah. I had tons of adrenaline running through my system because I was scared all the time from the trauma that happened to me as a child. And then as an adult, all I did was worry about what might happen because of what did happen. And that adrenaline, oh my God, can't even tell you. That pounding of your heart, that inability to sleep, it was horrible. And when I yelled, I added to it. I literally gave myself a shot of adrenaline. And then my body thinks that it's like in trouble. It thinks I'm truly in trouble. So what does it do? It gives me more adrenaline. So I just wanted to share with you that maybe we're looking at the wrong thing. Maybe it is as simple as not yelling. If you know why you're yelling, then you'll find out why you're scared and sad, because that's the reason you yell. There's something going on that is similar to the past that happened to you. And you're yelling because you're sad that something's happening or about to happen or may happen. And you're scared because it either is happening or might happen. Did you ever stop to think too that maybe sometimes when you're yelling, you're actually yelling at the wrong person? That was an interesting thing I discovered. I have listened to myself a long time ago and others have arguments with one another and they're yelling and you can literally see that they're not yelling at each other, that they're yelling at someone that used to be there, that used to be in front of them. They're having arguments and screaming at each other because when they were little, like when I was little, I couldn't yell at the person in front of me. I couldn't. He was much stronger, more threatening. He was my father. So the last thing I could do is yell at him. And I can't even think of how many times I probably yelled at someone and said things that were so hurtful because I kept those in all those years. Yeah, so I don't trust anymore. I don't trust yelling. I don't trust the idea of getting mad and then I feel justified in yelling because someone said or did something to me. I don't believe it anymore. I don't follow it. I don't trust it. And I know it doesn't work. So I invite you to not yell. I also invite you to not name call. Remember, those are the two things that go together. Why do we name call? Well, because it's so much easier to put someone down physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually than to raise ourselves up. So much easier to try to lower their power, their self-worth, and to make them wrong just by calling them a name, like give them a name and put them down because you feel so insecure yourself. It's amazing to me how much I hear celebrity people, politicians, leaders, all kinds of people that we quote unquote follow, and how much they call each other names. I can't do that anymore either. And boy, I got to tell you something that's really hard because I'm from Massachusetts. I've already called myself an asshole today. So trust me, I still like doing it. It's just not, it doesn't work. Let's put it that way. It just doesn't work. Calling names has supported racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia. I mean, Islamophobia. It's any kind of phobia, any kind of ism. Name calling has done. I don't even like to even diagnose people. To me, that's name calling. Or many times it is. You call someone bipolar, you call somebody, an alcoholic, you call somebody something. Okay, I get it. They have symptoms. It's in a book. I have the right, I have the license, and I can say, oh, you're an alcoholic. Why? What does that tell you about anybody? Nothing. Doesn't tell you their story, doesn't tell you why they drink, it doesn't tell you how much, it doesn't tell you anything about when they first did, it doesn't tell you anything about how it helps them. I mean, obviously, most people do something to try to mitigate the feelings that they have. It's a solution that's gone awry. So I wonder about that as well. I wonder about how we justify all the time calling somebody a name. The one thing I know that it does, it will definitely bring the temperature up and the intensity up and the danger. It will increase the danger of any argument at that moment. It will actually put your situation and your relationship in such danger that it may not be able to be retrieved. It may never be able to be repaired because of name calling. And once again, it's about control. It's about control. So you're trying to control someone else by being out of control. Just want you to think about that for a second. We yell, we call names because we're out of control, trying to use those ways of controlling somebody else or the situation. I can't think of anything more hypocritical and ridiculous than that. I think not only name calling and yelling, we have to be careful with adjectives, like the one I just used, ridiculous. I'll tell you a funny story. When my grandson Logan was little, he was probably 4, and he was going to nursery school. And I realized he was going to hear a lot of words. Excuse me. And I said, Logan, now that you're going to nursery school, you're going to hear a lot of words. So I just want to tell you that in our house, we don't say the S word. And he looks at me with a big smile on his face and he goes, you mean shit? And I go, no, 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 no. We can say shit in the house. We can't say stupid. We don't say stupid in our house. We don't say someone is stupid. We don't say an idea is stupid. We don't say anything is stupid because it really hurts. Shit, as long as it's funny, we can use it, especially since it means poop. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget how important that was to me when I realized that calling someone stupid is about as hurtful as you can do. And we as parents do it all the time, don't we? What are you, stupid? What? Don't get me going. Don't get me going. And we think we're so helpful because we're irritated. So we get to say, well, that was a stupid thing to do. Really? Maybe saying that was a stupid thing to do is the stupidest thing of all. So let's try it for a week. Let's do it for a week. Don't yell. Don't name call, and don't use any hurtful adjectives like stupid. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Maybe you'll even feel better. Even when you're alone in the car, that counts. That counts. Because if you yell or call names and no one hears you, if a tree falls in the woods, is there sound? If you yell when you're alone, it still hurts your system. Your stress response system is still activated. You're still getting adrenaline and cortisol and all those things that will not help you. They will hurt you. So yes, not even when you're alone. So I invite you, no yelling, no name calling, because it's silly. I didn't say stupid. All right, everybody, be crazy well and be your best self. That's what Kalvin Love says in our theme song. Go look him up. He's terrific. Be crazy well. See ya. See you next time.